It's time for another Devo tip on Ezekiel Unfiltered, chapters 35 through 37. Which is worse, to be pleased with another person's misfortune or to be displeased with another person's good fortune? Both seem pretty ugly. Perhaps that's why German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer argued that to feel envy is human, but to enjoy other people's misfortune is diabolical. In Ezekiel 35, God notices the harm joy of the Edomites who are sniggering over Judah's crash and burn. Since the Jews had been deported out of their land, the Edomites thought it was theirs for the taking. They didn't know that the Lord was still there, and he was about to vindicate the holiness of his great name, which has been profaned among the nations. God will clear his name and provide a radical change of heart and behavior among his own people. I will give you a new heart, and a new spirit I will put within you, God says. People will need to be completely transformed from the inside out. We'll need to think differently and desire different things to follow the Lord. Proof of having received a new heart and a new spirit is that we are more concerned for God's reputation and glory than for our own. This spiritual heart transplant is like being born again. It's like becoming an entirely new creation. It's like dead, dry bones coming to life. The last time God led Ezekiel into a valley, Ezekiel was unable to speak for 5 years. What would happen to him now? In chapter 37, Ezekiel sees a grisly scene of disconnected skeletons, as if an entire army battalion had been wiped out. The dry, bleached bones were of people long dead. And then suddenly God blurts out to Ezekiel, "Preach to the dead, you will live." The bones began to rattle and come together, and flesh appeared upon them, but they were still dead. Until God blurts out again to Ezekiel, "Preach to the corpses, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe on these slain, that they may live." God will not only bring forth the miracle of new existence, he will also bring forth the miracle of new unity. It would be like taking two sticks and making them one. As Israel's sin mirrored humanity's fallenness, so too their restoration foreshadowed God's redemption of all humanity. Jesus' resurrection fulfilled the vision of Ezekiel because it includes Israel's restoration. The breath of life came from the four winds, which means that God's Spirit is at work everywhere, in all directions, throughout the earth, under the reign of the Son of David, Jesus, the Good Shepherd King. Paul saw this and broadened the dry bones vision by saying, "You were dead in the trespasses and sins in which you once walked," in Ephesians 2. Like Israel, we had no hope and no life. But God, being rich in mercy, because of the great love which he loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. The nations are no longer alienated from the commonwealth of Israel. Jesus not only brings forth the miracle of new existence, he also brings forth the miracle of new unity. As Paul puts it, he himself is our peace, who has made us both one, Jew and Gentile, that he might create in himself one new humanity in place of the two. But what about the land? Jesus' description of Jerusalem as the city of the great king emphasizes the city's historical calling as the place that signifies God's reign over the entire earth. That's Matthew 5. The holy city has been set apart to God, no matter what human agency claims authority over it. After all, it is the place where God sent his Son to redeem humanity, and it's the place where Christ will return to vindicate his name and resurrect the living and the dead. In the meantime, we keep preaching to the dead.